Hold on, let me think about this for a second. The first time I met JJ, we was on a baseball field. We were playing softball together in the early 80s. He was a good baseball player, but he was cocky. Well, it was like him and Tony, you know, they're all talkers. Everybody was trading we were all trading in the OEX pit then. I stood across from JJ, and so I had to look at him, he had to look at me, but we were like, 30 feet apart from each other.
What I love the most about the market is every day's different, and you learn constantly. And the thing the market does best is it keeps you very humble. Because if you think you're smart, 2 days later, the market's going to punch you in the face and remind you why you're not so smart. I came upon trading completely in happenstance. My brother-in-law's first cousin was a trader at Chicago Board Options Exchange. He was going to meet his cousin for lunch, so he said, "Do you want to come down and see the place?" I said, "Yeah, maybe I can get a summer job." We went on the trading floor that day, and it was the most magical place I'd ever seen. It was everything I love. Pure competition, kind of bedlam, people just giving it their all. I loved the atmosphere, I loved the excitement. I was very fortunate to have some success shortly after I started trading in the pit. October of '87 crash, I actually did pretty well. And so I remember my mom said to me, "Are you selling drugs?" "No, Mom, I promise you I'm not selling drugs." "Are you gambling?" I said, "No, Mom, I promise you I'm not gambling." She couldn't understand how someone as young as I was having these opportunities that I was having, because it wasn't a world that she had ever really been exposed to. My parents are immigrants from Ireland. My father and mother were married in a small town in Ireland called Clara in County Offaly. It's a farming community. My father had a third grade education. He was a farmer. His father passed away when he was young. He had to go work the farm. When he was 9 years old, he was doing a man's work. My mother's mother died when she was young. She had to go take care of the family. She left school when she was in 5th grade. Now, I always say my parents weren't educated, but they were very smart people. The day after my sister was born, my dad had to come to the US, lived with his brother. He worked for the CTA at nights at the post office. He also worked at a rock quarry, was able to buy a house, send for my mom and my sisters 2 years later. So while my mother was alive, my mother never lived in a house she didn't own while in the United States. It's the great American success story. When you first step into a trading pit, it was hard. And when we were doing it, only about 30% of people lasted. Once you were around for a little bit and you showed you could survive, I think the greatest thing was other people in the pit actually helped you think about things. And there was an amazing education that went on there in terms of just your daily conversations. Because you got to remember, you're standing shoulder to shoulder with people who you may not necessarily love, but you know literally every single thing about them. You know who was in a fight with their wife, you know whose kid was doing well in school, you know who was mad at their kids. So you got to know everything about each other, but what you also do is you would discuss certain positions. And people would just keep commenting, and just those side comments, you learned a lot. And so I think that one of the things that we've carried over really well is the love of the conversation.
I'm rinsing and repeating broken wing butterflies and SPX. Traders trades, fish gotta swim.
I was the youngest trader in the OEX when I started, 22 years old. So I was given an amazing opportunity as a young man. We have to give those same opportunities to young people now. Nothing aggravates me more, quite honestly, than when I hear people say, "Oh, millennials, people my age, millennials this, millennials that." If you are having a problem that you don't think millennials, etc., are doing their job, then A, you're not doing your job. I truly believe everybody in life wants to be held accountable. Being held accountable also means you have to give people ownership. So if you're not a good manager, you're going to try and hold somebody accountable, but you're not going to give them ownership. Actually, that's the most frustrating thing you can do to somebody. I think you have to start with, I want you to own this. By the way, I'm going to measure you on these 2 or 3 things. And I'm going to come and talk to you if you're not meeting what I feel you should do. And you come and talk to me if you don't think I'm giving you the ownership to make yourself successful. I think people tend to perform to the level you expect of them. And so give people a high bar. Every day, I think about how do we help our clients? How do you help other people in scale improve their lives? And the stock market can help everyone improve their lives. As the son of people who didn't even know about this, I love the fact that people who didn't even know about the market are coming into this and are like, wow, this is so cool. This is something I can do. I can pass on to my children. We get an opportunity to give them the content, to give them the platforms, educate them. And I think it's, it's the greatest wealth and opportunity generator that there is.